And I'm based here in San Diego, but I work on different global initiatives. And what my whole objective is in my organization is that we want to provide different spaces, events, workshops, trainings in different locations so that people can be prepared for the 21st century. My belief, having been privileged to travel to now over 26 countries, work in them, travel for pleasure, as well as work on research, and as well as look towards alleviating a lot of the problems in the world and working with different organizations, is that if you're not multilingual, if you're not multicultural, if you're not ready to be prepared for the globalized world, how to engage on social media, engage with different cultures, then you're already behind. And part of why we're here today and bringing in our guest speaker, Arthur Gopak, is because I felt that he was one of the most qualified people that I personally know who could share with us today on his strategies in his own organization that's based out of the Netherlands, on how each of us, no matter what industry we're in, that we can grow our influence in the digital spaces, whether that's social media, through your website, through your blog. He's actually done it, and with what I appreciate is he's done it organically, not with a lot of these gimmicks that we'll sometimes see advertised to us in different social media feeds, things like that. So with what we're going to do for today is Arthur's going to speak to us during the seminar for about 35-40 minutes. It's going to be open Q&A, so at any point, if you have any questions, something comes up, please feel free to ask. At the same time, we do have some guests who are on the live stream with us. I'll be monitoring that. So if they have any questions, I'll raise my hand as well, ask Arthur. We want this to feel open. Don't feel like this is a classroom where you can't say something. At any point, please engage. We want this to be interactive. And then once we're done in about 45-50 minutes, we'll just go to open Q&A if you want to bring up any personal challenges you're experiencing in your organization, as well as just things that you see as trends or other people might be saying, and you're like, well, Arthur, how have you dealt with that? Because he's worked in different spheres. Please bring it up, and we'll kind of take turns between the live stream as well as here in person. And what I'd like to do real quick before we bring Arthur up is I'd like to invite one of the social ambassadors from the Collective Impact Center where we are today, Luis. So please give a round of applause for Luis, who's one of the social ambassadors. He'll be speaking briefly about the center and opportunities here as well. So thank you, Luis.
Hello, everyone. How you doing? My name is Luis Martinez. So I'm in charge here of programming as well as being a social ambassador for the Collective Impact Center. So this is a co-working space. We started in December. We just now are getting around to programming and filling out all the spaces here. And we offer different kinds of programs, mostly for social entrepreneurs. And so if you want to get involved as being a social ambassador or being part of the space, feel free to let me know. We also have spaces upstairs as well as an incoming daycare center for mompreneurs, as they call them. So we're just providing a diverse co-working space and collaborative. So if anyone has any questions about the center and membership, please feel free to let me know. And thank you guys for coming here and, just spending your late day with us. And hope you guys learn something. So thank you.
Thank you. So without further ado, thank you, everyone. I'd like to introduce the AlphaGamma business portal for young professionals, Arthur Gopak.
Thank you. All right. Guys, just let me fix a few technical matters here real quick. So I just want to make sure that our online guests can hear us loud and clear. So if you guys could just leave a quick message as well. Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, so. All right, then let's get started. So guys, really thanks so much for joining our session today. So my name is Arthur Gopak. I run AlphaGamma, a business portal for young professionals. And today we're going to be talking about how to create an online community by using content marketing, or in other words, content. So a few pointers here. So we're gonna share these slides with you guys later. So you could use the sources. You could check out the stats, the facts, the statements that we're gonna make today. So whenever you see this little pointer, you can click on that link. So it means it's clickable. So let's get started. So a few words about myself. So who am I to be talking about, and giving credible advice on content marketing today? So before running my own business, I was consulting companies. I was working in marketing. I was working primarily with small, medium enterprises, large corporations in different parts of the world. So some of the organizations that I either worked for or I consulted, they're mentioned on the slide. I really enjoyed doing so. I've learned a lot. But now, so after working in the media, working in finance, working in marketing, I accumulated all these experiences and eventually decided to build AlphaGamma. So it's even though we position ourselves as a business portal for young professionals, the way to look at us, it could be like one of the ways to look at us is as Forbes for young professionals. So we create content that covers career and business related trends, tips, and opportunities to help our readers who are young executives, founders, and students succeed in their careers. So how far along are we? So we already have, as AlphaGamma, we have been cooperating with big and well-established organizations like American Insurance Group, the United Nations, IE Business School. And this is not the definitive list. So and these organizations, they trust like the way and they like the approach how when it comes down to creating content. So but before actually, since I started like drilling into the content part, so how many of you guys know what content marketing is? Like content marketing? Did you? Okay, so I guess it will be okay. So I guess it will be the right moment to talk more about the definition. So content marketing stands for a type of digital marketing when you produce, say, a valuable content piece, right? And content can take any form as long as it's digital. So it can be a blog post, it can be an article, it can be a white paper, it can be a report, infographic, video. So anything as long as it's written and posted online, it's considered content. But the point of content marketing is not just to produce whatever content you can, right? So it's more about creating content that adds value to your target audience. So either you can add value in multiple ways. Either you could give helpful advice, or you could be sharing useful and unique insights from your industry, or you could be, simply talking about the problem that your organization, your association, your venture is addressing. And then this way you can really not just share with valuable information and exchange valuable information with your audience, but also you can learn and from your followers, and you can also gain credibility. And once you gain credibility, you can really either have more followers or have more clients or have more users. So the point is to give value first to provoke curiosity. So that's like a brief idea of content marketing. So I'm going to talk more about the trends and how it's done shortly. So, but the question is like, why now? So the content has been known like since the moment that the World Wide Web, came out. So, why now is it more relevant than ever? Well, one of the reasons is that since there is this ongoing conversation that the younger generation, so-called digital natives, they're more and more like they have a habit of consuming content online, and most of the organizations, they want to target younger audiences because it's widely believed that this is the biggest generation like ever, and because of this, most of the organizations they really want to either interact with them or hire them or really work with them in one way or another. So, and right now, 27% of the world population are so-called millennials, or so this is considered at least in the US alone is considered the biggest generation to come. So because we're talking about younger generation, so it's accustomed to using and consuming content through digital channels, right? So you of course, how many of you guys use social media like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn? So All of you, right? So and imagine that your target audience also sits there. So, but because of this, like all of us, got accustomed to consuming content here and now. So that's why we became really impatient whenever, say, we're visiting a website and it's not loading within 3 seconds, we're out. So, and that's why like there is this new habit, that like a bad habit, if you will, but we need to deal with it. So okay, how to really provide value like today, like right now, and so it will be of high quality, so it will eventually make people stay and eventually return. So the reason why Goldfish is on this slide is that our attention span, because of this dynamic online environment, our attention has become really short. So, and the attention span of a Goldfish is 9 seconds, while the average time span of average user is 8 seconds. So just think of that. So you have only 8 seconds to make a strong impression. So anything longer than that, so you become irrelevant, so sadly. But because of this, yes, we have a question. Right.
This has become prevalent. This is the mainstream. They do treat it. It's treatable theoretically, but it's very poorly treatable.
Right, yeah.
Psychologists will tell you. And it's treatable also with behavioral conditioning. So what we're trying to do essentially here is to work towards lengthening the attention span somewhat. But to do that, you need to attract the audience.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
That's the whole point. You hook them in the first 8 seconds. And then you keep them.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Not just to deliver these pieces in bits of 8 seconds, that's impossible.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. The point is to hook. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So it's indeed like the point, like you have this 8-second time frame to really get someone who's browsing the web interested in what you have to offer. So, but because of this, like there was this epic battle for the consumer attention, right? So it can be depicted in this epic painting, but it's really becoming more and more prevalent since we all are online and we spend our time there. So more organizations, more startups, more corporations, they're going to be fighting for those 8 seconds. So, and because of this, the internet is becoming a noisy place. So, and that's why it's really important. Like now, it's really important to talk about the quality of the type of content or type of the work that you publish online. So before I really jump into that, I also wanted to really mention like that when it comes down to delivery of content, we personally believe that banner ads are ultimately dead, and there are. And I'm going to explain the objective reasons with the next slide. So how many of you have heard of the MathBot operation? Anyone? So this report came out at the beginning of last year, and a group of IT engineers was able to determine weird activity of ads like Google ads, Facebook ads, Bing ads. So primarily, all the big ad networks, and I've noticed that for some reason so there was really weird like clicking activity happening on the ads, and there are some very big names involved. So basically, the authors, like those engineers, they accuse very big names. I'm not going to badmouth them here. So this report is absolutely public. So I put the link there. So, but the point is that big organizations they got caught, and we're talking about between $3 to $5 million fraud, like so just per day, it's just per day, $3 to $5 million a day. So imagine hundreds of millions of dollars go down the drain. So then, oops, okay, so we had a bit of a lag. So another, misreporting. So I'm gonna get to that. So I'm leading to it. So then there is another channel. How many of you have heard of Vegetasium YouTube channel? So this guy here, so on the right, so he does quite provocative. So his channel addresses really topical matters, and one of them is like the activity around like Facebook fan pages and like the quality of the Facebook pages. And how many of you guys have like a Facebook fan page? Raise your hand. How many of you manage a Facebook fan page like a? So okay, so if you ever decide to do that, you might want to, so if you ever consider doing that, so you might want to check out this video. And the reason why I brought this up, because not only us, like through the projects that we were involved in, but also our partners and clients, they've experienced similar anomaly, let's call it this way, when they were paying Facebook, like for the ads, and eventually they were targeting people, say, from the US, like from specific region, and to like and follow their page. But eventually people from, countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal, they eventually, those who are not targeted, right? So ultimately, this quality of the work is normally, like, if you probably have seen those shady ads, like grow your following, right? So most of the, if you're gonna buy some stuff like this is the type of quality you'll get, but you'll get it from a third party. You wouldn't expect this from Facebook. But we also got this, and that's why we personally don't believe in paying Facebook for the ads, and just like most of our partners as well. So that's why they're looking for other ways to distribute content. So the quick summary, like, of those two slides. So there was lots of engagement. So like there is an illusion of the engagement, but eventually once you look at the stats, how many people applied, how many people bought the product, so it's close to zero. So, but I'm not here to really talk about ethics. Like this is not the point of these slides. So. The reason is that because these are the most obvious methods that we can think of when it comes down to online advertising. But because there are these artificial ways of stimulating activity and proving to someone that this method works, to us, it's a clear indication that something is fundamentally wrong, meaning that these methods simply are no longer effective. So we suggest to dump them and really look at, look at it the other way. So why would someone say, if you decide to put like a banner out there, right? So why would anyone click on your ad, like, if they've never heard of you? So if they've never heard of your service, your company, like your personality. So we really think it's more about offering value first. So you need to really show that you're credible, that you really are able to, so you're an expert in your field. Like, say, if you're into security, then you're a professional in cybersecurity, or you have some unique insights that no one else has discovered yet. So this is your time to shine. So in our opinion, this is a completely different dynamic with, like, banner ads. Let's call them the legacy marketing approaches. They are really more about, okay, it's like my product, my company love me, right? But here it's more about, okay, so here's what I can offer to you. Like, I think you might really like this, and this might really help you. And then, like, once a person, like, who hears of you for the first time will learn what you have to offer, like, oh, tell me more about your work, your company. So you see, so this completely different dynamic with when you present content first and you really add value first. So while we're doing this, so we ran hundreds of different campaigns. Like, so we've created, like, right now we created more than 2,000 articles on AlphaGamma. So when we were writing articles, we were able to design principles that, it's like, let's call it a pattern that we're able to observe. So, and we were able to coin it into 3 principles, which are the content creation, content promotion, and content conversion. So I'll repeat. So it's content creation, promotion, and conversion. So I'm gonna go into each of these 3 pillars, like, one by one. So the first one is content creation. So before we even sit down and start thinking, okay, what's a cool blog post that we can write, or what is an article that no one has ever written before, it's really important to identify who your target audience is. So it's critical. And whenever we sit down with our clients, with our partners, we first address, okay, who are you really targeting? And when we say who you're targeting, you really have to be specific. Like, we, for example, use this like a template which looks something like this. So we try to put ourselves into the shoes of a buyer, of a user, of a client, and we really try to find what the interests are, like what the background is, what are the challenges, the issues, like the burning ones that that person might have. And we fill in the format like this, so feel free to borrow this one, but it's really not rocket science. but it's important prep work before you even start planning the content. So once you're done with this, then you can really start thinking of working on the content. But it's really important that once you start doing so, make sure it's a commitment, and you really have to produce content to the best of your ability. So the content would stand out, and when we say stand out, it really has to be unique, like stand out like this. And so speaking of but I mean, these are like nice little jokes here, but let's talk some numbers here. So how many of you guys have heard of WordStream? Does this name ring a bell? So for those of you who have never heard of it before, so this is the biggest advertising agency in the United States, and I happen to know Larry Kim, the founder of this agency, and I was able to borrow this chart from his presentation, and he coined the concept of unicorns and donkeys when it comes down to producing content. And the point is that you see the tail right here? Let me see. Yeah, it's working, but I guess it's too bright to be shown. But let me just show it here. So you see this long tail? These are the so-called donkeys. So these are the articles that you just produce for, just put out there, see whatever sticks. And yeah, so let's call it, yeah, so you pretty much experiment like here. But at one point in time, you're going to have so-called unicorns. So these are the content pieces that will generate the most traffic, they'll generate the most engagement, more shares, and also the most applications. So the highest number of clients, users, applications. So these are the so-called unicorns that you should be looking for. Yes, we have a question. This one? Yeah, so I suppose, so I would say, yeah. So for us, like, I guess like it starts at 0. So I think it's a good observation. Yeah. So when it comes down to indeed when you're producing content, so once you're writing an article which is underperforming, you're actually the first one to pay attention to this. So kudos to that. So it's a quite important point that when it comes down to producing content, then once you produce articles and they're not performing as you expect, the chances are it's because of the competition, right? So either there are too many articles are out there, or it's just the channel where you post them, there are just too many of them already. So that's why you're looking for a unicorn in a place where no one else is posting has posted before. So, this has to do more with the distribution. That's why we're going to return, we're going to actually return to the same chart in the second part. Yes.
So you're talking about finding the unicorn that no one really. Basically, you're finding the niche, right?
Yes.
Are there any general tips that you found that have worked for you, your organization?
Yes, so we also have lots of donkeys. Pretty much this is how, we have lots of donkeys, lots of unicorns. For us, we luckily discovered the unicorns early on. That's actually how AlphaGamma started in the first place, because it was my personal blog initially. But I never, in my wildest dreams, I thought I would be running a media company one day. So I really thought it's, I just produced a handful of articles which started generating traffic. So I posted one article on my blog, so I just shared it on my Facebook. It generated over 1,000 visitors overnight. I thought, oh, that's cool. Then I posted another one, and then similar result. And then I posted 5 to 10 of articles talking about same topics that I was more concerned of. And yeah, so more people started following the blog, and then I thought, maybe I should dig deeper. And this is how I discovered that there is actually a bigger problem to be addressed. And this how together with my co-founder, we realized, yes, there is no outlet media outlet that really caters content to young professionals. So, and we actually in the early days we thought, oh, there's the Entrepreneur magazine, there's Inc.com, there's Fast Company, there's Forbes, all these big guys you might think of, but you'll be surprised, and as we were surprised, that they cater to much older audience. So their median age, like of their, and you can look it up, like if once you pull the media kit, like their audience breakdown, it's so the demographics is aged 45 to 50. Yeah, and in our case, it's so median age is 28. And we discovered this like by accident. Yes. Understanding, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, these monkeys are now in the workforce. Okay, so let's deal with them somehow, because you kind of like you have to employ them.
Right.
But nobody actually deals with the monkey.
Yeah. Yeah, and now you say. Yeah, but I mean.
Because I'm getting older already, I kind of.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm 18, but I no longer.
Yeah, no, that's actually an amazing point. So that's why I'm going to also talk about the reason why we used to call ourselves Business Portal for Millennials and why we switched to Business Portal for Young Professionals. So yeah. So, but more on that a bit later. So, but let's move to the second part. So the first one was content creation. Now we're talking about content promotion. So say you've created, you're able to identify your audience. You designed the most outstanding piece of content the world has ever seen. You're really proud so much of it that you print out and show it to your friends, and you're not ashamed of sharing it online. So now what? So now it's really about picking the right channel. So once you're able to identify who your audience is, so the question is, where does it gather online? And it's not just social media. So most of the time, say, it really depends on the industry. It depends on the complexity of the product. It depends on, like on the maturity of the industry. So all these aspects matter, so they will be instrumental when it comes down to picking the right channel. And so I actually wanted to ask, how many of you guys have heard of Cambridge Analytica scandal? So, okay, pretty much everyone. So, but I'll just recap a bit. So the whole fuss was that so the whole issue was about the fact that Facebook allegedly sold the user account data to a political ad agency called Cambridge Analytica. And yes, sure, like, allegedly, because it was so accurate, it influenced the election outcome, right? Like both elections. So, it's like we're not here to discuss this, but we're here more to the reason why this case is here on the slide is that this is an attempt to reverse engineer the audience. So you really want to understand how your audience thinks, like what it thinks of, like what the challenges are, and then to offer content that caters to those needs, if you will. So. And with content marketing, we really attempt to do that. So we really want to know like who our readers are, who we want to target online, and then produce content that really resonates with them. So that's why I actually wanted to bring the same chart again to explain that, like to focus more a bit on the situation of the market. So once you're posting an article, it's important to pick a channel which is not as crowded, but where you still have your audience. But regardless, sometimes it happens that if one channel is saturated, then maybe just because there's just much content, it doesn't mean there's quality content. So it can also compete on the quality. So that's why I would argue with this chart in general, because we, for example, we are able to, if you look up for best business plan competitions, you're going to see our article there, like ranked #1. Or if you're going to be looking for the startup programs in Europe, you're going to find us there. So if you're going to be looking for events, you're going to find you can even look up like via Google right now. So really, and these are very competitive keywords, but that's why we would really challenge the view that you really have to go there where no one else is there. Sometimes it's actually a good thing if other organizations put content in those channels. It means the audience is there, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, so it really depends. Like it varies case by case. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes.
Relevant. Maybe I should get it from.
Oh yeah, the previous slide, like here.
I mean, no, in front. Should you want me to be on the screen?
Yeah, okay. If it's better. It's yeah. I'm gonna rephrase.
Okay, absolutely. It's basically signal to noise ratio.
Yeah.
So actually, signal to noise ratio has to be very, very comfortable for the receiver.
Yeah.
It's the same as an engineering concept. You can actually speak very softly in a quiet room, or you can speak in a certain way, loudly in the crowded room, or in fact you can put in, you know how you cut the noise.
Yeah.
Just put in earplug. You actually hear your signal better. So you can actually do it analogously to this. You don't have to like only preach to the choir or something like that. In Africa, like when you sell, whatever Mormonism in Africa, it's probably not going to be very successful because the target audience is not there.
Yeah.
However, so that as you write, that implies that it's not linear.
Yeah, exactly. No, so yeah, just to our online.
Signal to noise.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just to recap for our online audience that so there's a great comment that the way to look at the logarithmic line here is signal to noise ratio. So you're looking for channels that are not as noisy, so not as crowded. So and then so the point is to really produce content and promote in those channels which are not as crowded and maybe the ones that lack quality. So, but let's move on. So we still have like a third pillar, third element to discuss. So it's content conversion. So once we were able to identify the audience, once we're able to create the most outstanding content piece out there, we pick the channel which we believe has the audience that we need. So now it's really important to track the performance of each of your campaigns. So how to do that? So there are many tools out there. So some of the tools that we tried, probably over 100 of them, and the ones that we've put on the slide here, so are the ones that we're using in whenever we're working on campaigns or we're optimizing the pages. We do on-page, off-page search engine optimization. These kind of elements of content creation. Then we really monitor the way how our readers interact with content. In fact, you can even see, say, not just who visits your profile, how much time he or she spends, what the background is. You can really see at what point of, say, which content, at which paragraph the users, the readers, they drop off. So and then you can really reframe the flow. So you can really either, say, change the image, or you can make the article shorter or longer. You can make the article more skimmable. You can put the paragraphs in different order. And we actually tried out with, we were surprised that one single, say, tweak has a tremendous impact. So that's why it's like once you put a content piece out there and you say featured it on one of the online channels, you really have to monitor the market response, let's call it this way, immediately, and then incorporate the feedback as quickly as you can. So if you see that people are dropping off, there's no need to get more data points. So so you would have say 100 or 1,000, then you can really make changes after getting 10 responses. Yes.
What app or plugin do you use for that?
Yeah, so two of them. So is Sumo and Hotjar. So you can really see. So these two ones that we like the most. So you can really see until what point people scroll the page and eventually where they spend, at what section of the website they spend the most time. And we actually, that's why lots of people, especially we haven't had the conversation. We had a few conversations during the previous sessions that but what should you do why not just to have one page? What's our take on having one single landing page? And because some of the organizations, they really claim, it's better to have one landing page where you put all the info, and that people prefer to scroll. At least based on our experiments, we've discovered this. Well, we're still yet to find evidence to this statement. So it's actually better to. So whenever ideally you want to make every single landing page you want to keep as brief and up to the point as possible. Yeah, I'll get to the question shortly. And then it has to, and which makes it ridiculously hard. So that's why having this clarity and constantly experimenting with the messaging and monitoring the feedback is critical. Yeah, we have a question.
On your own site, are you saying that you're changing each piece in real time based on this, or can you make some conclusions like career advice should be 700 words long, 2 images, financial advice needs to be 300 words? Are you coming to terms terms of some broad ideas, or does it have to be each piece that's measured?
Yes, so that's a great point. So what we discovered is that indeed, like depending on the topic, it requires different formats. It really so indeed, like be it finance and entrepreneurship or an event. So the way how you frame content is very different, and you're gonna see it also in some of our case studies that even some things that worked say a year ago, we had to make changes because, say, the perception has changed. So that's why but that's really an amazing question. So I'm gonna elaborate on this in in the case study section. So yeah, so once you're able to track everything, so you're adapting your content, and eventually you have happy users, clients, followers. So this way you're able to really get people to know you, be curious about your brand, and ultimately over time you will grow your following. So let me recap real quick. So we have content. So we have three key principles of content marketing campaign: the content creation, content promotion, and content conversion part. So yes. Yes, because yes. So the reason why we put this conversion, you can also put in the early days, we put monetization here, but we decided to pick conversion. Yeah, because not everyone is as concerned for monetization. Some brands are more concerned of having say leads. They don't want, because they don't have a purchase immediately. Say if we're talking so that's the thing. Yes, so it can be an application. So you can either convert into you can have an immediate sale, or you can you can generate applications and eventually have, say, consultants that will try to upsell them. Say if we're talking about universities, there's just no way how you can immediately sell on the program, right? So you really need to nurture. So basically, the more complex the environment, eventually these conversion metrics, they'll differ. So that's why we decided to pick. Yeah. Oh yeah, metrics. Metrics.
Whatever action you want.
Pretty much, yeah. So. Yeah. So yeah. So. Yeah. So and then you just repeat the cycle. So with each new iteration. So once you're we're able to identify, okay, this is people drop off halfway. So they're not they're missing the apply here button, for example. Then you either want to shorten the article, or you want to put the apply here button at the top of the article. So yeah. So I mean, there are lots of ways how to, and well, that's actually so that's the beauty, and at the same time, it's the hard part about content marketing. It's really to do all this will require tremendous time commitment, because we also were asked a lot. Okay, I want to design a content piece. How much time should I devote to eventually see results? So then we ask, okay, so what kind of traffic do you want to generate? So if you want to have, say, social media traffic, then it's easy. Then you're looking, say, for forums. You're looking for, you form partnerships with those who have your audience, and you push your content there. Or if you want to have more organic traffic, say, through search engines, right? Like Google, Bing. Then you really can expect, for us to appear on the first page of the Google search results. It took us almost a year, and we had to compete with all these sororities there, which had decades. Yeah, so decades of years. So those are very well established organizations. That's why for us it took us time. But if you have more a name, say, which really stands out, maybe it's misspelled or sounds odd, then it's easier to claim that spot, and eventually it's really more about the branding play. But say, let's assume you have but most of the time this is not the case. So unless you're starting a funky tech startup, then this is not going to be the case. So then you're probably going to go with this more traditional route when you really try to compete with others, and this will take time. So for us, we can do it within, say, 3 months. It will take us to eventually help our partners to grow in rankings. So, but I don't want to get too technical. So, but my point is that if someone wants to get quick results, so this is not you'll be more successful with say posting stuff on social media. The problem is the moment you stop posting there, it's gone. So there's pretty much no trace. So say if you don't show up or you got sick, then you're not going to be getting any like organic traffic. So so we discussed briefly the principles. So, but for these principles to, yeah, in order to make them work, you need to, in our opinion, two key ingredients. So, which are really quality and consistency. So, when like we briefly mentioned the quality already. So, we spoke that say if we mentioned that say if you pick the channel which has many, say, like which is saturated, let's put it this way. So there are many other players putting their content out there. So one of the ways, say, to create content which say is longer, which is more thorough, and talks like not just like does not address only that problem, but also talks, say, general market trends, talks about other opportunities. So it's a longer and more extensive content piece, a guide, if you will, that talks about the same problem. So this way you can really beat others on quality. And consistency is really about the frequency, how frequently you not just post, but also how frequently you promote. Because right now, if you want to rank high, yeah, you say you want to get more organic traffic. Yes, it's important to refresh your page, to put more blog posts, but it doesn't mean you have to do it every hour, right? Or even every day. It's going to be an overkill. Well, we share 2 posts a day, but eventually it's like if you post one. So there's another discussion whether to say post frequently or to promote, say, one large content piece and then promote it over a period of time. So both strategies work, but as long as they're consistent, say if you post an article, like then you made the decision you want to produce blog posts regularly, then make sure that you post, say, even if it's once a month, you post once a month. So if you're on social media, you post, like, say, even if it's just once a week, you post once a week. So eventually, like, search engines, they pick on these so-called social signals. So it has become quite like they have quite a large weight now. So that's why it's actually, yeah. So that's why it's quite a complex approach. So you need to not just leverage your website, but also use the social media. So yeah.
So you're saying consistency. What I'm hearing, consistency as well as kind of disrupt, be different.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask a hypothetical that I'm interested for my own target audience. How would you say, though, would I determine, obviously, let's say Instagram versus LinkedIn, very different spheres.
Mm-hmm.
But then I know, for example, LinkedIn is going to be very professional. People even hate it when people post more personal or event type things. But then I guess if you're just being the same as everyone, how could you answer, like, how would you differentiate, or how does your company differentiate?
Yes.
Besides just being another business blog or something like that, what do you qualify as differentiating in that sphere?
So the question is, okay, how to pick. So now we're getting to the content distribution. So how to pick the right distribution channel for your content piece. So say in case of LinkedIn and Instagram, so we could look at the general like audience there. So Instagram is really more of a visual platform. So it's like the way it's designed, the interface, it's really meant to post something visually appealing there. So that's why we are posting like most of the motivational quotes there. So and people seem to love them, but it's not the place where you're going to be talking, like serious business issues. You're going to be talking about, career opportunities. So this place is not meant for that. So LinkedIn is a better place for this. And when I say LinkedIn, like there, say in our opinion, LinkedIn forums is it's a golden mine, because eventually most of the professionals, say if you want to target professionals, and we want to target professionals, they use LinkedIn quite frequently, and most of the time they are signed up for for those. Say if someone is interested in digital marketing, they're signed up for the updates, or someone is interested in careers or like career groups, they'll get notifications whenever someone posts stuff. So it's really important to understand like what the specifics of each distribution channels are. So as you said, that like how to pick it. So it's really important to understand like how you also want to how you want to position yourself. So are you more serious brand? Like, so are you like more, say, conservative conservative newspaper, or are you like more, you know, playful, more, you know, like you would like to put like an emoji, or, you know, like memes or whatever. So these things, you know, you see what I mean, right? So depending on the branding, like your decision on positioning, so it will also determine your like the channel where you're going to be promoting your content. So for us, surprisingly, Twitter has been the winner. So we got more than 45,000 followers there right now. So, and we didn't expect Twitter to be like the winning place. And we discovered, for us, it was quite a discovery to know that Twitter is more of a like content discovery platform. So it's not Facebook, and we actually are we personally are quite disappointed with Facebook because we had high hopes for it at the beginning. So, but now we see with all the recent changes there, and also the way how they tweak the algorithm, that even now if you have a Facebook fan page, so if you have your organization there, it makes more sense to start a forum rather than a Facebook fan page now, because now like the way how it works is that say someone likes your Facebook fan page. If you decide to post something, then on the news feeds of those people who started following your page, your post will have the lowest priority. So, and before they even notice your post, like say if they have over 1,000 friends, like they might not even see your post. So, and that's why the organic reach is becoming also, you know, somewhat limited. And it's even worse if your organization has say 1 million of followers, and then you get only like 500 organic views. So it's quite like, and this is what pretty much is happening. So the point, like we see why Facebook does it. So eventually, once those who invested a lot into Facebook fan pages, they keep on investing just to promote the posts within their own community, the one that they already invested money and time, and now they still need to pay to reach their own community. So that's why we understand like the logic why Facebook does it, but it's not helping small organizations at all. So for us, we've seen that Facebook groups and also our own groups, the one that we're creating on behalf of our fan page, they drive the most engagement. But yeah, but it's a different discussion, so which spans about, you know, outside this specific presentation. But my point is that it's important to really see those specifics first. Like so once you know which distribution channel. So you need to know this like while you're doing the review of the distribution channels. So yeah, so I hope that was a long answer to your Yeah, okay. So, but let's talk more like about case studies. So we have been working with different organizations. Say we have been working with one of the biggest Nordic universities, Stockholm School of Economics. So this school is known for for educating finance professionals. But now they decided to roll out a social entrepreneurship program out of a sudden, and they never had people who eventually like set up their own businesses. Most of the time they worked for a central bank or for a large financial institution, and now they wanted to get more applications. So, and we're playing around, okay, like what imagery to use, what headlines. We eventually made like 4 tweaks to this campaign. So this is like the final form of how it looked like. So this form generated more than 600 applications over a course of 6 weeks. So but we were making tweaks. So we like halfway through we made tweaks over the first 2-3 weeks, and we realized, oh yeah, so the campaign is not performing as we expected. And then we changed the headline, we changed the photos. So we actually realized, like, one of our discoveries was that most of the time people want to click on people. So that's why we were also putting like lots of images, like objects, like things that associate with knowledge, these kind of things. So we decided to go, we decided to put the photo. It's actually their own photo. So we just found it in one of their archives and thought, hey, let us just put it like a student photo of one of their students. So, and it worked really well. And but then again, so I talked about the experimentation and the importance of really tweaking the performance. So and like observing the performance of your campaign and then tweaking each of your campaigns. So that's why we have been working with another school called Rice University, and this is so these guys, they organize the biggest business plan competition, like, well, definitely the biggest student plan competition on this planet. So, and we helped them with generating more than 300 applications over the course of 6 weeks. And and as you can see, that the format, the layout, like it's a bit different. So we also realized that now, because the time lapse is like, so we posted this article in 2000, like at the end of 2015. Now we posted this article at the beginning of 2018, and you see that now people have wider phones. They want to, so whenever, and we noticed that people eventually, like so those who wanted to target, right, the younger people, they eventually browse opportunities via phone. So we want to make sure that the article looks nice. So it has plenty of visuals. It also has a video underneath there. So. But it's still, you see what I mean, that eventually you have to experiment. So we tried the similar layout, it didn't work. So, and we had to make tweaks and eventually it resulted into those, hundreds of applications. Then another example. So we worked with a school. So this is the biggest private school in France, and we helped them with getting, we helped them with getting more social entrepreneurship students. Are you looking for the name of the school? Yeah, it's called Lyon Business School. Lyon, yeah. So they're based in Lyon, and yeah. So and. Yeah. So, and yeah, we didn't like, we put the logos at at the front. So, but anyway, so and for them the challenge was that the school already has its own social entrepreneurship division, so which does research. They release books, magazines. They have very well-known professors as well. So we were surprised that they actually struggled with getting more students for their program. So that's So that's why what we decided to do is, hey, like, you guys have so many insights, why not to frame them into, like, in a unique way. Like, when we decided to create a guide, like social entrepreneurship guide, and because we figured lots of people have many misconceptions what social entrepreneurship is in the first place, and we decided to, create a thorough guide, like, around 3,000 word long, like, piece. This took us a bit longer, so because it was quite an extensive piece, so it took us like around 3 months to produce it, to make tweaks, to promote it. So within 3 months, so we helped them, like, in tuition fees, we helped them get more than so if we're translating this into dollars, so it's more over $600,000 US. So and we're able to generate applications through this guide. But I was talking about schools, so let me go more into, yeah, please. So a couple of reasons. So there are a couple of ways how they discover. So because other schools now are talking about us, so they all, like, like, word of mouth. And another way is that because we do feature some of the opportunities, like, every now and then, because we, aside from this type of content, we also talk about opportunities like scholarships, fellowships, and schools just discovered that there is a spike of quality traffic. Quality is the keyword here, and they eventually want to start working with us. So they got intrigued. So yeah, and that's actually exactly how these guys discovered us, and that was because we featured one of their I believe it was an MBA program. We helped. This program was more for their like masters, like it's masters of science and social entrepreneurship. So, but yeah, they exactly, like, they discovered us through content. So exactly through the same approach that I'm preaching here. So that's once you eventually publish an article, like, people will discover you. Yes, we have another question. Yeah. So this, yeah, as well. Yeah, so LinkedIn as well. Yeah. Yeah. So all of so no. So let me put it this way. So we didn't post this on LinkedIn. So we didn't use LinkedIn for the distribution channel. We use LinkedIn for we had to use LinkedIn here, and we used LinkedIn for the guide as well. So, but let me also bring some other examples too. So we're talking about academia. Yeah. Oh yeah, so some of the differences. So the LinkedIn was not was a bit different. We saw that the article was performing well on other channels, so that's why we decided, okay, like let us just push through these channels as well. And yeah, so and also at the time we didn't have big of a, like say this specific article was published at the end of 2015. We didn't have a big of a following there yet, so now we do. So that's why it makes sense to leverage LinkedIn as well. Yeah, so does this answer the question? Yeah, okay. So, but let me also bring another example. So we've been working with another Dutch company called Equidom. So what they do is they help, say if you have a startup, you want to learn how much it's worth. So they've built a software, like software tool that allows you to really see, okay, how much company is worth. And eventually if you want to sell it, you want to, you know, like, or raise funds, you will know like this metric. It's essential for that. So we're actually, and the difference between like this campaign and the other campaigns is that we've put a widget on inside the article. So the guys, so the founding team had a little like application form when, say, if you want to estimate how much your company is worth, you can plug in the values right into the calculator, which was, you know, plugged into the content already. So this way, we had a quite interesting conversation there as well. So it generated comments. It generated several, like over 100 of applications within a couple of weeks. So we had a short and sweet campaign this way. But this is another great example. Let's say when you're giving away value, so you pretty much show your expertise this way. So you've built a widget which when you apply the algorithm that you've already built. So eventually you try to convince people to work with you or buy from you later on. So we help them generate leads. So and yeah, so that was also quite an effective campaign for like in our portfolio. Yes. So these are leads. So those who filled in, so they had to. So the way, yeah. So the way, yeah. So in the previous, I think it's important to mention. So here, like those who fill in forms here, once someone fills in a university application, they want to become a student. So they're willing to. Here is a lead, but because these guys were starting out, so they raised some like seed funding, they had some money to invest, and they were willing to spend money on, you know, acquiring leads. So, and we helped them, and leads for them was to get people to become users of their platform. So eventually you had to, like, in order to get the result, you had to create an account. And so, yeah, and it will redirect the users to their landing page. Exactly.
So there is some kind of
yes, yeah, exactly.
Because once I think when you provide free content, the problem with that is you may be wasting, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, definitely.
Just freebie on it, you know, forever. Russia, everybody knows. Russia is the epitome of that. I mean, people provide free content. You just use the free content and go on.
People, I can tell people love free stuff everywhere. Like, yeah, so it's like a.
Russia does nothing.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of friends who are just giving away guitar lessons. That's all people do. They never actually come with it.
Yeah. No, but I'm hearing you. I would say like the same thing. Yeah, sure. Like there are going to be lots of free riders, freeloaders as well. So this is part of the game as well. But eventually, like that's why we have like you know, like donkeys and unicorns with content. We also have donkeys and unicorns when it comes down to leads, right? So we have those who will eventually, you know, gonna be like, yeah, exactly. Those who will qualify to buy from you. Sometimes actually we have. Yeah, actually wanted to mention another example. Since we were talking about millennials and how derogatory this term is, we realized this like down the like a bit like late in the game. So this is like, that was our tagline still in 2017. So AlphaGamma, business portal for millennials. So even here you can see that our tagline says like business portal for millennials, but here we eventually changed it like on the front, just on the front page. So on the front page and also on a bunch of website sections like about us, contact us pages. And guess what happened? So so we had striking difference, and like we had so before. So once we had only millennials, right? So the moment we changed the wording, out of a sudden we started getting more inbound leads. And the font as well.
Dramatic. Like my wife would give you like a C for the
No, like font.
Not that it's much better, but it's consistent. It's sans serif versus the other one mixes sans serif and serif.
Yeah. I mean, of course. Yeah. No, of course, but it's not a mistake. So we on purpose we changed the font. So because we got some feedback on it that it feels too corporate, and we wanted to make it like feel less corporate. And so so that's why. Yeah, but that's a good point. So no. Yes. Yeah, no, that's important. So like that's important. Like the font, the design, like all these things might seem little, but they are not little when it comes down to actual results. So we actually got, like we tripled the number of daily inquiries we started getting. And so these are like universities, these are events that get in touch with us. They want to work with us. They want to, or they want to become, influencers, because we have more than 300 authors right now. So we keep getting more applications. So now we actually had to improve the filter. So now I'll explain. So the difference between contributors and influencers, in our opinion, is that contributors is pretty much anyone who wants and can, those who want to write. But with influencers are those people who already have some trace online, so they already have, like some online following. Like the way we define it is that they need to have at least 10,000 followers on their social media. Like it can be a combined number. So because now we realize, so in the early days we were just learning and wanted to make sure, we're also are able to create content in a way that's engaging, and we know, and because like these principles, they also were not born right at the beginning, so it took us time to frame them and see them work. So that's why we're accepting everyone, but then we pretty quickly realized that, like everyone wants to contribute, but it takes a lot of time to actually like edit and do all this work. So my point here is that, but we haven't done anything besides like, yes, sure, we changed the font, but besides the tagline, we didn't make any other changes. So that's why we believe that people eventually, like, they started perceiving us differently. So, but so that section wraps up the case study section. I really want to just show a bit more, like, some of the stats, because yes, so some of the stats that we believe that this approach works, because this is how AlphaGamma came about. So it started off as a blog, so now we're a 7 people strong team. So now we have because we have young people following us, so we have median age of 28. So we have a global reach. Like every month we reach 1.5 million people on all the channels that we own, and our primary audience comes. So most of the readers, they are from the US, and then the rest come from the Western Europe. And because we have, so this is something we discovered along the way, and we never thought that this would be the case, but we really wanted to build platform for everyone. So we want to improve the accessibility of career and career tips, business wisdom, and also the opportunities for all young people. But eventually we realized that young people who follow us, it's probably 5 to 10% of the market. So those are like, that's why by default, even though we're open to everyone, but we see that the type of content that we're producing is interesting to a very specific segment of the market. So, but because of this, we are actually accidentally, most of the big brands, they want to work with this type of young professionals. So they either want to hire them, they want to work with them. Say if it's a business owner, they want to do business together, or they want to have them as one of their event attendees. So quick wrap up then. So content marketing is really about preparing relevant, high quality content. You really have to promote, pick the right channels to promote it, and then as you keep getting the data, from tracking tools, then you have to adjust the content. And then once you eventually decide to use content marketing, give it time, really, because it's a long play, and then you can expect the results. So if you guys got intrigued by this approach, we designed our guide called Best Content Marketing Practices. It's absolutely free. So we piled up some of the ideas to create. So it's 20 pages long brochure, let's call it this way, and where we put over 50 ideas, like what kind of content you can create, how you like what kind of channels to pick, and eventually how to make your content marketing campaigns work. So if you want to, you can either access this guide by following this little link here, or we can send it to you later, like via email. Then if you also would like to learn more about the unicorn donkey concept, so I also have the access to the slides created by Larry Kim, the founder of WordStream. So they're also accessible via the link here. And also I wanted to offer, I also have 2 bonus slides. So how many of you have heard of portals like BuzzFeed, Upworthy? Yeah, okay, pretty much. Yeah, so for those of you guys who haven't heard of these platforms yet, so what they're famous for are for creating so-called viral content. Like cats, like funny, amusing moments, GIFs, like the little short animations, and eventually they were able to boost this content and generate really hundreds of millions of views this way. So, but what we found fascinating is that the way how these guys they approach their editorial process. So, the way how the guys at Upworthy they play around with headlines, how they literally take the same content that didn't perform well, then they just change the headline and then post it again. So and that's the only thing that they do, and then they see a dramatic change in conversions. So they also when it comes down to headlines, they for example think of 25 headlines, and then they say the first 24 headlines are going to be painful as hell, but then the 25th is going to be the legendary one, as they say. So but the point is that eventually, yeah, so there are lots of cool and fascinating tips. So, and the reason why I would pick the Upworthy presentation is over the BuzzFeed one is that these guys have grown quicker, in terms of audience size. So that's why we would encourage you to, I would personally encourage you to have a look at this slide deck as well. Yes.
Have you seen a big difference in success between, let's say, these funny or more non-serious campaigns or articles versus something very professional or non-profit NGO oriented?
Yeah. So so there is, I would say this. So the question is, whether you can apply the same techniques, just like BuzzFeed does, BuzzFeed or Upworthy apply to their content. And when you're talking about serious issues, serious topics, I'm not sure about BuzzFeed. I can tell about Upworthy. That was their monetization model, that they really wanted to use the same editorial policy when they talk about serious topics. So so they're not more into kittens anymore, and memes. So now they talk more about professional issues and sometimes political even. So so yes, you can do this, but obviously it's not as entertaining because the reason why kittens, memes, GIF animations, they I'm still not sure how to pronounce it, GIF or GIF, whatever, and yeah, exactly. So, but so those short, how would you pronounce it, by the way?
I pronounce it
GIF. Yeah, so I would pronounce it as well. So, so obviously with this type of entertaining content, it's easier to get following and get more eyeballs. But how many people would eventually follow? If you tell them to do something, will they actually follow? So actually, and this is. Probably a relevant example. So because I have a friend of mine who runs the second largest YouTube channel for the Russian-speaking segment of the internet. And so they amassed huge audience. They have more than 5 million YouTube subscribers. And their biggest issue right now is to monetize this. So they, and sure, back in the days when YouTube didn't make tweaks to its algorithm, in terms of advertising, so they were almost an exclusive partner. They were making enough money to pay themselves, pay the staff, and also invest something into developing the channel. So now revenue got cut dramatically, 5 times, if not 10 times. And now they're looking for other ways to monetize. And they tried, doing brand endorsements, putting T-shirts on sale, all that kind of stuff, and people don't buy this. So that's why once you have the following, right? So it doesn't mean that say like once you have millions of eyeballs, it doesn't mean it will result into the action that you desire this campaign to result. This is another like important observation, but that's why it's important to, in our opinion, this is the reason why it's important to adapt and experiment. So we also, like the reason why the slide is here, that we were also asked about different type of content, say, because the examples that we provided, we're talking more about texts, right? So, and we specialize and have experience in creating written articles, blog posts, ebooks, white papers, but we constantly get asked, okay, but what about video content, right? So if I'm offering a video explainer, isn't it better over having, you know, a long and boring guide? So our answer would be yes and no. So if the goal is to explain, probably like having a longer, like a manual is easier, because you can simply press Control F and then just find you know, the keyword that you want to, which is a bit trickier to do with an explainer video. But if you want to really reach the say a broader audience, especially if you are promoting a product, then a video could be an interesting venue as well. So how many of you guys have heard of this ad? The company is called Dollar Shave Club. Okay, yeah, so then, okay, so for those of you who haven't heard of it yet, so these guys are, so if you've never watched this commercial, so go for it, you're not gonna regret it, I promise you. In fact, if we had commercials like these, we're all gonna be broke, because we'll be buying stuff constantly. But these guys, like, so the founder, Mike Button, he's on the video, so he basically explained what his razors. So they sell razors that cost $1. So it's like a subscription-based model. And in his video, quite humorous approach how he does this, but it eventually stuck and people started sharing stuff. I remember myself sharing this video, and now, like 5 years later, we profiled them on AlphaGamma because Dollar Shave Club was bought out by Unilever, so a huge Dutch conglomerate for over $1 billion. So clearly this campaign paid off. But in our opinion, if someone wants to have a video campaign, it makes sense to do something like creative, viral, if you wish, which is ridiculously hard to do. But unless someone can produce a similar phenomenon, like in our opinion, it's better to stick to something more organic, like creating content. Yes.
On the topic, differentiating between the video marketing and the blog content post, based on what I spoke to you about before, you've helped some organizations advertise events or training, seminars, things of that nature. What I spoke to some of the people in the room with on their products or professional fields, they also sometimes host events or trainings.
Right.
What have you found historically with your experience working with those organizations that work hosting events, trainings, things like that, and video, blog content?
Yeah, so great question. So then I would rephrase this question as, okay, so in what cases these videos are relevant? So yeah, whenever we work with events, so an event is ultimately an experience, and the best way to show it's an experience is to really, it's better to show, to show a video than to explain it. So that's why, like, when we encourage our partners to really put videos, like, whenever possible, so which would really show not just like, okay, this is the whole, these are the people, but really to display emotions that people feel. So if someone is engaged on stage, or if someone is like, having a thoughtful conversation, these things, like, they matter more than just, the fact of having a video and just showing stuff. So as long as it's dynamic, it really captures the essence, like, of the atmosphere, then it makes sense. Then it's gonna actually boost the perception. So yes, so in this case, we really encourage to display the venue, like display the experience of that event. But in our opinion, since it's an experience, it has to be shown. Yeah. So even a bunch of photos, yes, they can depict some of the moments, but a video would be more powerful. So at least based on our experience, like if you have an event, then a video would be an effective way to show it and promote it. So, but I only have two slides left. So, if you guys are interested and want to learn more on the topic of of tracking, topics on how to improve conversions. So, like some of the favorite one, and also like to understand the dynamic, how users perceive content. I would recommend the two books of Gary Vaynerchuk, The Thank You Economy and the Right Hook book. So they talk more about the dynamic of okay, how to really be persistent but not be pushy when it comes down to putting content out there and eventually make an ask. So if you give away free content, and then at what point do you ask for a sale, and how do you ask for it? So these things, like, are, in my opinion, they're really well explained in his books. If you want to learn more about like the conversion metrics, like more like and look for the channels and methods to pick the right channel, I definitely recommend the Traction book, like the first one on the list. But the reason why other books are here, because in our opinion, if you have an organization with a noble purpose, then it's really easy to convince others. So if you can show this that your organization is genuine and authentic, then it's actually easier to get trust online. So, and then you can really build something great. So this is an example, and that's why the Good to Great book is here. Other books, I would recommend them to you, because eventually it's really more of a, it's going to be a long play. It's going to be quite an emotional journey. Okay, how do I, at what point do I stop the campaign? So at what point do I know that this approach is not working? Not just like the content marketing approach, but say this channel or this article or this tool. So I would recommend this library to you guys. And that's about it. So if you really liked this session, so we're gonna send you guys these slides. So to all of you guys who signed up to our online session as well, we're gonna send you the materials. And yeah, so for now we have a Q&A session, I believe.
20 minutes.
Yeah, so we have 20 minutes. Yeah.
So what we're going to do, as I explained earlier, is we have some questions from our online audience, as well as hopefully you guys have some questions. Feel free, we're all in this together learning, so don't be shy, and we'll just go back and forth depending on how many questions there are in the queue for online as well as here, and we'll just take turns if everyone's okay with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, then we'll have Arthur speaking with all of us.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so guys offline, do you have any questions? Yes, please.
So when you're first starting out, what methodology do you use to create content?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what you should be?
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to repeat this question. So once you're just starting out, so how to know like what to start with. So maybe to illustrate, I think it's important to be more specific. We were talking about the theory like for the past hour. So maybe you have what industry would you be interested in?
So in like the sound, video, audio business. So we would like to know like what should we talk about? So what hasn't been discussed, and then try to talk about that.
Yeah. So yes, indeed. So it could be one of the ways. So you could indeed just do. First, again, you need to design the profile of your client, right? So then you could formulate those questions. Okay, because in order to search online, you need to know what to search for, right? So you need to know. Okay, so who your target clients are, and then take it from there. So, okay, what issues are they facing? Like, what challenges they might potentially face? Because sometimes what they're facing today, it's not maybe they're not aware of certain challenges. So as an expert in as the expert in the field, you are aware of them. So that's why, like, yes, like once you're able to pick the interests, understand the interests of your clients, then you can really start searching like online. Okay, so what kind of angle to use? So what kind of topics, like when they're looking for, say, like audio-visual equipment or services, like what kind of questions are they asking first, and then take it from there. So maybe they're not looking for the equipment immediately. Maybe they're looking for, okay, how to organize the best concert ever, right? And then you could share your insights there, based, say, on some your past work, or or your own observations. And then along the lines, you can say that you could mention that you're the expert, and people, because people discover your content, they by default they'll be thinking that you're credible. So and Google thinks that you're credible as well. So otherwise you wouldn't be on the first page in the first place. So that's why, like, once you understand these questions, then it's really easy to come up with topics. And then my advice then would be to pick the ones which have the highest volume and the lowest competition. Like, so they're searched. So this is pretty much the same. We were talking about this chart. So I'm going back to this unicorn donkey slide. So. There, yeah. So pretty much you're looking for keywords which are not saturated, or the channels that are not saturated. So, and then once you do that, it's really about distributing the content in the right channels. So, but it might take like some time. So like the research alone. So actually creating content might take less time. The research will take the most time. And from our experience, like really understanding the reader, the user is number one thing. Yeah. So, but does this did this answer help? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So we have.
If anyone has a question here, if you could hold it for a second, I have a couple here. So the question is about domain names of blogs or websites. So, for example, they pointed out that AlphaGamma has a .eu.
Right.
And they're concerned about, should I have .com, .org? What if they have a .ca, like Canada, something like that? Have you researched this or have an opinion on something like that?
So, yeah.
Important for gaining popularity and credibility.
So yeah, so question, yeah. So I guess I can repeat. Yeah, so everybody heard the question then. Yeah, so basically, does the domain name matter? So it really depends on the industry again. So if you're in a conservative industry, which will say like banking or like heavy machinery, then putting a funky name, like a startup-y name might backfire. So then initially your brand name will not be perceived as a serious one, but in general, if we're talking about ranking, that Google doesn't care. So because we're competing with we're able to rank higher than some of the well-established media outlets, for real competitive keywords like business plan competition, startup events, HR events. So I mean these kind of keywords, university programs. So. If you just go to Google and start paying for the ads, then it will cost you like at least maybe $10 per click. So yeah, so that's why we really think in our case, like the domain name didn't really matter. So even though we have .eu, we have traffic coming from the US and we have clients from the US. So we believe that it does not matter as much anymore. So.
I remember earlier you mentioned about getting advertisements from people, let's say from the Far East. I know sometimes it's perceived as maybe obnoxious, so that's why I'm assuming maybe they asked that.
Yeah, well, I think again, in my opinion, it really depends on the industry. So and also maybe at least in our case, like, and we do business internationally, people don't care. So I think it has to do more with the type of country you represent. So I would say, so if you represent Middle East and you go immediately like start approaching US companies, you're gonna have a harder time versus say if you're registered somewhere in Europe or North America and you do business across the border. I think this is more important. So like where you're registered, where you run the operations from, because this is one of the first questions that we get, like where are we based? So yeah, and I mean, for us, it hasn't been. Maybe that's why it does not matter. Like we have this .eu domain, and technically we can be from Amsterdam, we can be from Rome, we can be like any part of Eastern Europe. So it would not matter. So people perceive it as Europe. So, but it might be different if you have like PK, like Pakistan, or it might be different, if you have, domains from these countries. So the perception might be different because of that, not because of the name per se. Yeah. So yeah, do we have, yeah, so let's get back offline. Yeah, so do we have, yes, we have questions.
You may want to avoid whenever Putin is on the prowl to occupy the next country, you may want to avoid the names with that group.
Well, we're not.
Kind of, a little problematic.
Well, yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, I figured. So no, like, but really, when it comes down to domain names, really, like, it's more important to think of what does matter though. When it comes down to ranking, it's more important to have the domain authority. So there are tools. How many of you guys have heard of moz.com, moz.com? Like, so if you guys haven't heard of these guys before, so you might want to start using their tools. So they have free tools, moz.com, and these guys were probably like established like in 2003 or 2004. It was one of the first established internet advertising agencies, and I happened to meet both of the founders through the startup programs, and we had a conversation about that, like how this tool works, and because you can, and it's quite accurate in the sense that there's correlation that the higher the ranking of your, say, of your domain, then the more organic traffic you are likely to get. So, and the higher the like overall ranks for your keywords, so the keywords that you are targeting. So that's why you might want to use their tool. I think it's called Open Explorer, Open Internet Explorer. So you can Open Internet Explorer. I think like if you type either one or three words, you'll find it. No. So yeah. So no. So if you'll type it like so it's or just in case you can put MOZ there. So yeah. So and then you could. Really, if you plug in your domain, the domain actually, so as adding to your question, like how to start like your search, you could, so once you identify the topic that say your audience is interested in, you can plug, so you got the first 10 results, right? And you can pick the each one of these domains that appear in the first 10 results, and then put them into that tool and see how they rank. And then you can see, okay, what you guys would need to do in terms of improving the domain rank to rank higher for the same keyword. So it might be technical, but this is one of the ways. Like, so it's. So we would really approach it like this way. So the point is, like, sum up is to the topic, and in order to rank higher, make sure your brand, your domain has higher domain authority. Yeah. Yeah. Do we have? Yeah.
Are there cases that you can discuss when the banner ads will be better than the content marketing approach?
Yes, so that would be effective only like for big, if say McDonald's, right? So if or big brand like Mercedes, like a car manufacturing brand. So everybody knows like what these brands stand for. For them, it's effective. So people already know like what to expect, and so it's really like a immediate sales funnel for them. So we're not saying that they're not gonna work like for everyone. So we're talking here that they're not as useful for smaller brands, because in order for someone to click on an ad, they need to hear of you somehow. So sure, you can. So some organizations try to be creative, like they're so-called retargeting. So you probably are not maybe familiar with this term, but the idea is that, say, when you were booking a ticket to vacation home, or you had nice destination, you didn't buy the ticket, or you bought a ticket, and then all of a sudden you have ads chasing you like with the same destination or from the same airline company. This is what's called retargeting, or also remarketing. So it's an attempt to do that. I can imagine. Yeah.
Like retarded. Where are you going with that place? Why you need anymore?
Well, but that speaks to our argument. Like we think it's not as efficient, but I still use it. So like they apparently it works for them. So, but it's not as effective. Answer: it's effective for big brands. Those brands that no longer need an introduction. So then it would work. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Do we have offline questions?
I have a question. You mentioned
Yeah.
that you were surprised that for AlphaGamma, Twitter ended up being a much better place for you followers. But
Yes.
Does that correlate to conversions? Like where the conversion is richer on LinkedIn than because like you said, Twitter, the barrier to entry to follow is pretty low.
Right.
Right. And that's LinkedIn used to not be able to follow people. Now you can.
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah.
The behavior act, I think, is why they added that. But so you grew your number base.
Right.
Twitter faster, but did that translate to like time on site?
Yeah. So for us, we use Twitter in two ways, not just to get readers, but also to get leads. Because those people who follow us, like on Twitter, we can interact with them directly. So this is something that, say, you can't do with Facebook, you can't do with LinkedIn. So I mean, with Facebook, you can do it. So you would need to post. Yeah. Yeah. So, but now still, like for us, like we were able to generate business leads this way. So, say when we're working with accelerator programs, when we're working with corporations, they're very responsive there, and that's why, like for us, this has been great, like business prospecting tool. So when it comes down to readers, yes, definitely. So because we have influencers writing there, so most of our influencers, they have large following there. They have over hundreds of thousands of people. That's one of the reasons how we've grown there. So it does require maintenance. So yeah, sure, Twitter is quite a dynamic place. So you need to post really regularly. So we share at least 13 posts a day, but we have like methodology in place, like what kind of content to post at what time. So and there are tools that also help with managing social media. So if your guys interested, I can recommend one. So it's called buffer.com, BUFFER. So we tried different ones. So I would suggest this one is not just the most affordable, but also in terms of like the functionality that we expected them to deliver. They were the only one to offer that. Other tools, they were too clumsy for our taste, so they were inconvenient in terms of managing stuff. And here, like so now we have a person who manages. My colleague manages the social media accounts, but yeah, you have a question? Buffer, yeah. So we use Buffer for all our social media. So we use it for LinkedIn, we use it for Facebook, we use it for Instagram, we use it for Google+. Am I missing any? So Facebook, yeah. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Google+. Yeah. Well, with so yeah, like so you can still post.
You can't post on profile.
Oh yeah, on profile feeds, yes. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, so they changed that. That's true. But you can still yeah. Yeah. Well, it still helps. So I mean, if you have similar content, you want to post like broadcast on different channels, then it's still useful. But this way, like the beauty of it is that we can really schedule content in advance, and this way, the person can do other things. So and also, of course, depends on the type of the industry. It also depends on the type of product that you sell. So maybe based on that, you might need to manage it more frequent. So you need to post something more frequently. sorry. So you might want to post, say, if you run like a kiosk or a coffee place or a restaurant, you'll be posting almost like every half an hour, and you know, with all the promotional coupons, you know, with all the photos of how crowded it is, just to lure the crowd in. But say if more, say if you're selling heavy machinery there, then you know, chances are you might be only sharing major updates, right? Like corporate events there, or and this way you kind of show that you're alive and still responsive. But so yeah, so buffer.com like would be the tool that we could recommend. So we use it personally, and we love it. Yeah. So any other questions? Yeah, we have. Okay. Let me back. Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm here. So because we do have some US partners, and there is indeed, and yeah, so it will be. So I'm in the US in October, and yeah, so that's why we'll see. Yeah, so what we see more is that there is a need. The US companies, they want to, you know, reach to like other audiences, and not just for that audience, but the affluent audience. And that's one of the reasons why we also want to focus on growing our core markets like Europe and North America. So because, well, right, of course, there are some Asian countries that we find interesting, but we want to focus on these two because, well, yeah, most of our clients, partners, they want to have, you know, people who can pay for their stuff. So, but yeah, definitely, like, it's a fair question. We're really open to this idea. Yeah.
I've done a lot of in-person consulting, but with the digital age, I'm now moving to platforms like Zoom, Google Hangouts. Have you seen any issue being that you're an international company, I guess, to gain that credibility in other regions because you're not currently based in the US?
So it really depends on the organization which you deal with. So if it's more traditional institution like a bank, right? They, of course, they want to have like as low risk as possible. They want you to be almost based like nearby, and for them it's important to be registered in the same country. But for some, like most of our clients, like we see universities, they open up. That's why we do business over the Atlantic with them. So indeed, we use these tools like Zoom, Skype. So there are fewer barriers, but of course, like still the human interaction, it still matters a lot. So that's why, sure, I mean, it's possible to say have initial conversations, first pilot projects, but when it comes down to eventually growing, then people want to meet you, and especially when you're talking about larger amounts, then they want, like, that was also one of the ways how we also work with our French and Spanish and also Italian clients. So once we have a like small campaign with them, they get so excited, they want to meet us, and then they fly us in, and then, you know, we eventually discuss, you know, a bigger, you know, project, you know, these kind of things. So that's why, at least since we're based in Europe, for us it's not much of an issue. But then again, I can't speak on behalf of all the industries. So I know that in some very industries, like in finance, for example, they will not be even talking to you if unless you really like have a branch. Less, but I still think like there is a striking difference when someone reaches you like by, you know, knocking at your door, and, you know, eventually, you know, someone who you see in person versus someone who attempts you to reach via the phone. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I have a question, and I don't know how you know this comparatively, but what do you think are the main differences in producing business content for a young professional audience versus business content for like a boomer audience?
Yeah, so what's different? The topics. So the topics differ. So say that's why we actually have more elderly, more like more experienced professionals writing and talking about what it takes to get started. So what it's like, how to do the career planning, what kind of opportunities, you know, like the so-called business wisdom. So and of course, most of the younger people, I mean, at least our readers, they're conscious about the future and they want to plan things ahead, and they're very careful with their time. So Yeah.
But I'm wondering, is there a different way? Like, there's mid-career people
Yeah.
that are also looking for career advice. Does a young professional need that column to be formatted differently?
It does,
or
yes.
Phrasing or language even differently than it would be for.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So what we've discovered that, say, elderly generation it has longer attention span. So that's why, yeah, definitely length matters. So they're fine. Like they don't, most of the time they don't care about the design. And what we also discovered is that for them, like, yeah, so they'll do the research more thoroughly. So once they've heard of you, that they'll search like probably like 10 different like they'll be looking up for 10 different references, while a younger audience is like more, oh, like someone else mentioned this, oh, let's go, like let's go to that place. It's not like a friend casually mentioned it or whatever. So they don't maybe do like as long as it's as long as it's interested. So it still has to be shorter. Of course, you use a bit different tone. You
But I'm also wondering, like,
yeah.
for like a millennial audience, are they more prone to click through or less prone to click through? If all content being good,
right? Yeah.
Is an older audience more hesitant to click through or not, right? So I'm just curious, like.
Yeah, it's a good question. So we haven't done a specific study on this. So like measuring these two audiences. But for us, what we've noticed is that obviously older audience is more affluent than the younger audiences. So because of this, we know that because of this, like once we're going to be talking about, say, getting a mortgage or buying a house, we're going to get lower click-through from younger people, right? So it's because out of their interest. Yeah. Yeah.
But like to say, if we send again a relevant ad campaign of content for a young professional versus an older person, and it's the same offering, it's the same relative like disposable income category.
Yeah.
But if for a millennial audience, 30% click-through is garbage, but for an older audience, 30% click-through is awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Interesting to know because when people just throw out the stats, like, yeah, but it depends. Like my email list is not stratified by age.
Yeah.
It's just all C-level business owners.
Yeah.
Different ages. So who knows what the hell a good click-through rate is?
Pretty much.
Because life stage, like I'm saying, like some of our CEOs are still using AOL email addresses, right?
Yeah.
Even though they run companies.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
I imagine their click-through, they're very hesitant to click through on stuff. Whereas younger people just click through stuff all the time because it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right? So I was just wondering.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting. Yeah, because that's the thing. So because we don't we attract younger people like by default, so that's why we couldn't conduct a study of that kind. But yeah, that will be an interesting observation actually. So
because it has implications for something on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Skews older.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah.
Twitter skews younger. So it's
Yeah.
It's kind of more in the middle. Instagram skews young. Snapchat skews so
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It just has to affect what you think a golden standard for a click-through rate.
Oh, that's good point. Yeah. Well, I think it still would vary based on the industry and based on But yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah. So we had.
Just as a time check to respect the time.
Oh yeah, because.
Everyone has different schedules. We have about 5-ish minutes as a group, but feel free. We'll be around after, so you can speak to Arthur personally and ask any questions. But as a group, 5 more minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, maybe let's do this. If we have online questions, maybe we could address them first, so we could wrap up. Yeah.
So the only last one left is, if you could answer it quickly. What's the average life cycle for your average campaign?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be like instant attraction, or how long will it take?
Yeah, so we recommend so whenever we work with partners, of course it depends on the industry most of the time, but we've seen that 3 months is like optimum. So if 3 months is enough for us to generate results, and we think that the type of products that our partners and clients come to us with, so they're fairly complex, but 3 months is enough for someone to make a decision to say, pay 50 or 20,000 for a study program, or pay $3,000 for an entrance ticket to a conference. So, but still, it would take time. But for us, it takes maybe around like three months. The very least that we could we would need at least like a bare minimum of 1 month. But that's why 3 months is 3 months is like optimum, because then we would have enough time to really tweak the campaign and really see the best results. Yeah. So I hope this answers. Yeah. So then shall we wrap up? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In your experience, when you're releasing content early in the 3-month window, and you start tweaking it, at what point do you feel comfortable not tweaking it anymore? Just letting the success. Because if you miss it too much, right?
Yes.
Look at too often getting traction.
Yes. So a great point. Yeah, so the question is, until what point should we stop tweaking the content? For us, we need to have at least 2 data points. So the initial campaign, and then once we need to see a significant improvement. For us, a good click-through is at least 30%. So like say once we post an article, like depending on how many people, say we have 1,000 visitors, right? We want to have like 300 people to eventually go to that landing page that we're promoting. And then until this happens, we're going to be tweaking. Yeah. Yes. 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 So that's why we tweak, and that's why like, well, this is something that our partners tell us, that they appreciate the quality, because well, that's something that this report, the Operation Mathbot, talks about, that yeah, it's very easy to guarantee volume, but when it comes down to like quality, eventually like advertisers, they care more about the performance, right? So for us, we believe with this content tweaking, it's eventually easier to achieve that. So yeah, but I hope this answers the question, right? Yeah.
What we'll be doing at this time then, because there's no more questions online, we'll be wrapping it up as the formal session, and
yeah,
we're gonna thank Arthur for taking the time to
thank you.
share his knowledge, and I just wanted to also appreciate everyone for taking the time.
Want to come on? Yeah.
Being here in this space with us, and also for those who were online watching. Appreciate your questions as well as your patience setting up the audio and technical at the beginning. And please stay tuned for our events, and we'll be hopefully coming to a region near you soon. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, thank you.